Hey you guys, it's Shadow Soul Tarot. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my subscribers. You guys, it's early in the morning. I look like I just woke up, okay? So this is my crazy hair. This is not like, my normal self, but I get really inspired in the morning. And so I didn't want to wait. I just wanted to go ahead and like put this video out there and just do it while I'm like, feeling really inspired. So I wanted to do this video on like how tarot works, what psychability is, how spell work or manifestation works, like all that stuff. I'm very passionate about that stuff. And I want like the whole world to know like what I've discovered and like how I, discovered it, etc., etc. And as passionate as I am about those subjects, those are very, very complex. It's very complex subject matter. Um, so I can't put that all in one video. And if you can't put that all in one video, it's going to be a super long freaking video. And we all know we don't have the attention span for that. Okay. I will create videos in the future breaking some of this down, but for now, the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was the need to study. This isn't for everyone, okay? This is like if you want to understand yourself, you want to master yourself, you want to understand tarot, you want to understand psychic ability, you want to understand why you're here, what you are, the reason for your existence, etc., etc. This is like to learn about you and to master yourself, okay? This is not, for people that just, are curious, okay? This to master yourself takes discipline and dedication, and understanding and knowledge, and to educate yourself. So first, I want to talk about like how I came across all this stuff. I won't go like all into like like my awakening and all that stuff. That'd be a really long story. But I post awakening, psychic, reading tarot, learning all that stuff, figuring all that out. And then all of a sudden, I was signed up for what I call Spirit Science University. And I'm going to tell you guys about this because I'm going to start name dropping like all these different areas of study that I came across. So if you are curious as to, what you are, what you came here to do, as far as like self-mastery and understanding energy and understanding tarot and psychic ability and manifestation, like this is, the things that I've come across that will help you understand why you're here and how to do all this stuff and how to master yourself, okay? So I have Neptune in the third house of communication. So I will try to keep this as like succinct as possible, but I am a very nebulous communicator, so I'll kind of like do this full circle thing, but usually try to bring it back home. So just have some patience with that, you guys. I am working on trying to be a better communicator in that way to get my subject matter out, in a more fluid way. But before I'm getting there. All right, so. Spirit Science University, you guys. So before I understood like even like how tarot worked, and you guys, you have to understand too, like how you perceive the tarot, or like psychic ability or manifestations or spell work is also going to be based on your previous exposure to like whatever previous like religion that you were, like whatever you were exposed to previously, okay, as far as like religion. And so that's gonna skew like the lens that you have and how you interpret things. And that certainly was the case for me. I was super Catholic, pre-awakening. And so when I, started my awakening process and started, to come across tarot, I was viewing things in a very, Catholic, with a very Catholic lens. And so there's a reason why I'm saying all this, because like when I got signed up for Spirit Science University, I really had to drop like that lens, and really had to understand a bigger view. So I'm going to give the warning that once you start studying this stuff, religion is probably going to be falling away from you. Okay, you probably will lose the taste for it, and will probably, change your view of what religion actually is. Okay, so if you are so tightly held and bound to your religion, you might want to click off now. Okay. Oh, by the way, I do cuss. If I, haven't already, I'm pretty sure I have. Whatever. I do cuss on my channel. If you don't like that, please click off now because you're gonna be super fucking offended if you don't. We're 5 minutes in, so yeah, I should have done that from the beginning, but whatever. All right, so Spirit Science University. Was not into any of this, wasn't even on my radar. I was very much like art and poetry and music and, the arts. I was never into the sciences, you guys. I thought that, first of all, for whatever reason, I didn't think I was smart enough to understand some of this stuff. I was very intimidated by it, which, that had a lot to do with like my self-worth and value, which completely, obviously that's always something we work on and we continue to strive for. I don't have everything fucking figured out, but I definitely have, upgraded my self-worth and value since then, okay? So, Spirit Science University, I'm getting there. I was having these experiences, you guys, where I was asleep. By the way, we don't dream. We don't dream. That's a whole other subject. Just going to say that right now. We don't dream. Our soul, energy, essence, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, does have experiences while your body is in a sleep state. Okay, so I was having these experiences where I was, dreaming that I was sitting in front of a classroom and like auditorium, type of, classroom, big screen, there's an instructor, and I was learning stuff. And it was, I remember, like seeing equations like up on the board, and I wasn't retaining it though on a conscious, like, 3D level. But when I would wake up from these experiences, I would have like this voracious appetite to learn everything about physics. Okay, it started with physics. And this was not a subject that I was necessarily like intrigued by or had, any like real interest in. But I woke up and I'm like, I couldn't get enough of everything physics, okay? And so, this kind of, led me down this rabbit hole. But I was like, why? Why do I need to know this? Like, why? I didn't need to know this before, so obviously I need to pay attention as to, like, there's a reason here, that this all of a sudden is coming into my sphere of consciousness of, like, there's, I'm being presented this information for a reason. And so I, tapped in, tuned in, asked my guides, like, what's going on? Why do I need to know this? They're like, you need to understand energy. And I'm like, but, that's what I do. Like, I'm a tarot reader, I'm a psychic, like, I get energy. They're like, no, you need to understand energy. Not like, just experience it, but understand it. Because I, being, psychic intuitive, I was having these experiences of, how, I'm able to tap into energy, other people's energy, but I didn't understand the mechanics of it, of like how I was actually able to do it. It kind of didn't matter. It was just, something I could do. Right. But there was just this underlying feeling of like, I did want to know somewhere, on some level. And so they were giving me this explanation. And it started with physics, okay? And so physics, led me down like all these other, rabbit holes of areas of study. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to be name dropping all of this stuff, so that way you can at least, get started and intrigued, about some of this stuff as well. Because, later on, I'm going to start breaking some of this down and really talking about, like how this, affects, psychic ability. Everyone has psychic ability, by the way, not just me. And so once you understand, like a lot of these different things, you'll understand, how much of an energetic being you are and how we are all connected. There is no separation, and how to tap into the energetic field and how it's a perfectly natural human ability that you've been told that you don't have, okay, which is a lie. And so I want to be able to free your mind and free you energetically to understand, who and what you truly are. I think it's important. Okay, so physics led me down all these different areas of study. And then you start to synthesize all of this information together, and you get a full picture of what actually is going on and like who you actually are and what you actually are. So it led me to study ancient civilizations and ancient languages and symbology. You'll see across philosophies and religions across the world, across different time, spans of time, there are some commonalities between different religions as far as like symbology goes and language, the root words, for a lot of different things. We say as within, so without, as above, so below, what those things actually mean and where they come from. For me, as above, so below relates to physics. I just saw 1111. Relates to physics, okay? So what happens on the cosmological level also happens on the quantum level. You can see the repeating patterns of how things function on the cosmos is also how things function on a quantum level, okay? So that's as above, so below. I'm just dropping some stuff right now, you guys, okay? I can't get all into this, Sacred geometry is really important to study, okay? In Kabbalah, there's the symbology, the geometry that's used in Kabbalah, like the tree of life, right? If you look at that in a 3D view, like a 3D model, if you take the tree of life and put it in a 3D model, it's actually a quadruple helix spiral of DNA. So this also gets into like all different sciences, okay? Sciences as well, like DNA, the study of DNA and genetics, okay? And consciousness, like all sorts of things, okay? But so back in the during the time when Kabbalah, existed in our timeline, they weren't supposed to have, knowledge of, the structure of DNA, but somehow they did, right? Like even now in our study of genetics, just like 30 years ago, we saw DNA as a double-stranded, helix. Now, just more recently, and I would say in the last like 15, 20 years, we've understood that DNA is a quadruple helix, okay? So these are things that the ancients, knew and were completely aware of, so this is why it's important to study these things, because they had this knowledge before, and it's still available to us now, all right? So physics, astrophysics, cosmology, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, fluid dynamics, toroidal dynamics, okay? Toroidal energy. Toroids are huge, huge. So study, if you don't know what a toroid is, TOROID, okay? Please Google it. We have all this information available at our fingertips, okay? And definitely study neuroscience and the study of consciousness, okay? There are so many people out there that are amazing people for this, okay? So my favorite physicist is Nassim Haramein, okay? And what I love about Nassim Haramein is that he's a physicist, but he also incorporates a ton of other disciplines and areas of study, okay, into his work as a physicist. And so he also, there's also resonanceScience.org, you guys, that's a great resource for a lot of free online learning about a lot of these things. Take it slow, take your time. You're going to be led down rabbit holes in increments, okay? Just the way that I have been. Once I would fully understand one aspect, then my guides would give me another piece, and it would fit in perfectly with the piece that I had before, okay? And there's been like days, especially like during quarantine, where I've gone down these rabbit holes for like a couple of days, and I just can't get enough. It's like I'm saying, it's a voracious appetite sometimes, and I can't get enough. And so like once you start to really like put all these things together, you'll also run into like shamanism and the study of like, you know, what the shamans knew, like different types of shamans around the world, and like the commonalities between, you know, shamanism, curanderismo, the practices of hoodoo, voodoo, and Santeria, like the commonalities across that, you know, and this is all about energy. This is energy work, okay? This is not religion. This is not about deities. This is energy work. And once you start to study this stuff, you really start to understand that, okay? If you look at the Qigong masters and the things that they were capable of doing, the things that they're still capable of doing, Google some, you know, or, you know, go on like on YouTube and just start finding videos on Qigong masters, you know, Qigong masters abilities. These are like, you know, I'm giving you the search terms here, okay? And like levitating yogis. You know, this is ancient knowledge, okay? But it's not really ancient because it's just it's always been available. And, you know, don't get intimidated by some of these subjects, okay? Because once you start to understand, you know, that you are an energetic being, you are made up of atoms, okay? And atoms are 99.99999% space. Okay, they have protons, electrons, and neutrons, but other than that, there's space. And what that, you know, there's plenty of hypotheses out there what that space actually is. And some people want to call it dark matter. You know, some people want to call it the vacuum, whatever. That space actually is not empty. It's teeming with like energy and information. And that information contains the information of the universe, how the universe works, okay? And that's what we call the Akasha, okay, or the Akashic records, or it has been called the Akashic records. And, you know, a few different, you know, religions, if you want to call them that, okay? All of these things, you pull them together, you synthesize them, and it gives you this full picture of how tarot works, what psychic abilities are, how spell work works, how manifestation works, and what you truly are. So yeah, I just wanted to like drop this really quick. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing some videos later, breaking some of these things down. I'm gonna be, you know, bringing up, you know, like the different scientists that I've come across, you know, in the different disciplines. Some of the more weirder shit as well as in like in shamanism and qigong. My own experiences with those things and spell work, all kinds of stuff, you guys. So anyway, get to studying. You are an energetic being. You have access to the Akasha. Do not be intimidated. And yeah. All right, you guys. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Comment, you guys. Ask me questions. I'll definitely would love to answer. Follow me on my Instagram. I'm going to put everything in the description box below for my links, you know, for my social media, etc. So yeah. All right, you guys. You take care. And I'll talk to you soon, lovelies.